Hey everyone, welcome back to the realm. I'm Gina.
I am Ricardo.
Are you going to be Ricardo today? Do you want me to call you that?
Hola.
Ricardo.
Si habla español.
There's
Chi-Chi's.
Italian
Taco Bell.
Ricardos too, so you could really choose.
I'm a what?
There's Italian Ricardos too, so you could
Uh,
really choose.
no, I don't know. I don't know any foreign languages.
So you're not even going to pretend.
I can pretend I can do a lot of pretending. It's not going to end well, but
Hey, it's always worth trying. Well, everybody, we are back with a full episode on a single topic. So today we are bringing you a two-parter. It is definitely going to be a two-parter because it needs to be, and so we'll explain how this is going to work out. So, in this first part that Rich and I will be bringing you today, we're going to be talking about some conspiracy theories surrounding CERN. Don't worry, if you don't know what CERN is, we're going to explain all this here in just a moment. But in today's episode, we're going to talk to you just what we know, just a little bit of basic knowledge, what we know about CERN, and some of the conspiracy theories that are out there with regards to CERN. And then in our part two, we will be having a special guest who is an actual physicist that works at CERN on this project that we will be discussing, and they are going to answer questions with regards to these conspiracy theories and explain it in a language that we can all understand, because as much as I love science, it doesn't make me a scientist. So having said that, I'll need things simplified. So
yeah, and I know nothing about science either, other than it's pretty cool and I like to listen to it. And I'll admit that before we started talking about CERN, I had no idea.
Yeah, and I mean, I have I have
a
a basic knowledge, and some people don't know about it. But I mean, TikTok right now is riddled with this CERN
I saw
conspiracy
that. Yeah.
theory.
After doing some of that research, looking up some of that stuff that we're going to talk about,
Yeah,
and seeing all the TikTok stuff. I'm not a big TikTok person either. So,
yeah,
I mean, I'm behind the eight ball on some of that stuff. What's amazing to me is that I've asked some people I know, I said, if I say CERN, what do you, what do you feel about that?
right.
Some people go, what? Other people go, oh my God. Oh my, I'm like, okay, well, you must, okay. So you're following, man, they're doing this stuff and this. And I'm like, wow. I'm thinking, okay, well, that's cool that you kind of know what I'm talking about, because up until a week or two ago when we started talking about it, I had to look it up because I wasn't like, I don't know what that is. I mean,
Yeah, not everybody's well versed on it, but that's why I said we'll take a little bit of time here in the beginning to talk about what CERN is, what they're doing, how it started, what the goal is. And we're going to explain it from like my perspective, my limited perspective. And then we're going to, like, when we have this physicist that's going to come on and speak to us, they're going to answer the hard-hitting questions. We've given them a list of questions. They've agreed to entertain all of these theories that we're going to put forth to them and kind of explain to us their take or their side of the story. So we're gonna hear both sides of the stories on this, to be fair.
I have a question.
Yeah, ask.
I'm just gonna put this out here. We're gonna get into some of this stuff, but when after we talk about a little bit what CERN is, and then we talk about these conspiracies and stuff. Now, as someone that doesn't know about it, let's say 50% of the population has no idea, and you bring up some of those theories to people, I wonder how many of them are totally like they have that doesn't phase anyone. Yet the people that feed into different theories or different of what CERN is about and what they're doing, and people that are hardcore into like the scientific stuff, they're the ones that seem to be coming up with what ifs and
like being right.
We're going to get into some of it, so I don't want to ruin it. But I mean, looking at some of the things we're going to talk about, I looked at them. I looked at them a different way with a different set of glasses on, and I can see it. I can see nothing, or I can see their side of what they think.
It's the same thing with the flat Earth situation. Like,
absolutely.
If you are somebody that can sit down with an open mind and take a look at the information that is put out there by people that do believe in flat Earth, like, it is pretty freaking compelling. Like, I'm not gonna lie, right? But anybody can make anything seem compelling, right?
Exactly.
Even the most intelligent, thought person or whatever the case may be can listen to something and for a moment be like, oh wow, that is kind of weird, but then your own knowledge of science, or just like doing a little bit more research
Right.
you to a little bit more of the answers. So,
Yep.
you know, I guess to preface all of this, just to start out, I do not mind believing in magic, right? Like I want to believe that there's things out there that are just so beyond freaking cool that we can't explain, that
Or
are
just
like,
our backgrounds of what we do.
yeah,
We have to have that
right.
mindset.
You know, both of us as paranormal investigators for so many years, and just the things that we've done, like we're into the unknown, right? And we want to believe that there's that possibility.
Yep.
But then we also sit on that side for due diligence. We have to make sure that we're not just, you know, as we said, calling everything an orb, or every noise isn't, you know, the knock from a spirit, and every light flicker and every coincidence isn't always, you know, as it seems. But you know, at the same time, like I want to believe, I want to be open to believe that there could be something completely stranger things like out there in this world, right? Just because it's cool.
And I think that's the hardest thing to make people understand sometimes is you can have both sides of that.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be, you can be a skeptic, but you can still believe.
Yeah. You know, I believe there's things out there that we can't explain. And I do believe that there's a lot more to this life and this existence than what we really know and what science can tell us right now. So I definitely do not want to make anybody feel like anything they believe is wrong, or to be ashamed, you know, by any sense of the imagination, because I mean, that's what makes this world go around, right? Like thinking about all these possibilities. It's what, you know, and it's entertaining on top of which. So I do want to just preface that. So, you know, listening to some of this, it's very cool that people are thinking critically. It's cool that people are thinking outside of the box and caring about things. But, you know, again, sometimes you can get really carried away. And then there's people that can get a lot of anxiety from these types of situations too, when you're, you know, talking about different things that can happen. I mean, a little bit of knowledge about something can be super dangerous. That's the problem that we run into sometimes. But anyway, so to start talking about CERN. So CERN is a lab located in Geneva, Switzerland. Okay. And basically they have scientists from all over the world that are working there. And they are, for just in simplest terms, basically recreating the Big Bang. So, and the Big Bang is what you remember from school, is where they believe the collision took place that all life started from, right? Like that's how our particular system started, was from this collision. This is what matter and everything came from. So to study kind of like where we come from, how we started, what we're doing, you know, how things are formed, and to explain time or other things in science, these scientists are conducting experiments to try recreate it on a smaller scale so they can understand our universe better, essentially is what they're doing. There's a lot of other things that goes into it. And like I said, I'm not a scientist, but, you know, there's a lot of other things that they're discussing. There's things about supersymmetry and lots of things that I couldn't even begin to explain to anybody because I'm just not well equipped to do that. Now, having said that, so in CERN, there's this thing that the initials are LHC, which is the Large Hadron Collider, which is where these experiments take place. Yep. And essentially what it is you have these underground tunnels that are below the Earth's surface. And the one in Geneva, Switzerland is roughly maybe 17 miles in circumference. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's the circumference. And so what happens is these beams are spun around inside of here. Basically, if you think about, you know, in opposing directions, and at some point they end up colliding. And at that point of collision, there is this whole section where the point of collision takes place, is where these measurements are taken from. Okay. So they take the measurements from where these beams hit each other to get information, like I said, to figure out the universe. Mm-hmm. So CERN was not the first place that this happened. So we actually have a particle physics laboratory in Batavia, Illinois, which is just about an hour and 25 minutes or 30 minutes or so where we're at here in Wisconsin, maybe a little longer, but it's very close by. I actually used to live very close to the particle physics accelerator laboratory called Fermilab in Batavia, Illinois, when I lived over that way. So I lived in Warrenville, so actually Fermilab sat between Batavia and Warrenville. So Warrenville was on one side and Batavia is on the other. And so it literally, you could go through the lab and end up in Batavia on the other side of it if you went out that other road. So now Fermilab, same thing, smaller scale, doing the same experiment while CERN was being built and getting ready to geared up to run. So they started collecting data from Fermilab back in, maybe it was the early 2000s, let's say. I want to say like maybe 2002. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'll look it up. I don't want to misreport anything. So just know I'm giving everything. This stuff I didn't look up because I just wanted to give a genuine account of like my experience with this or what I know about it. So the reason I know this is because where I lived in Warrenville, I lived in these apartments, but they were corporate housing. And when we relocated from Ohio to Illinois, to the Chicago area, it's a suburb, like far west suburb is what it's considered, but to Warrenville, when we moved there in 1999. So my son, who, Nicholas, who we had on to discuss artificial intelligence in another episode, he was outside playing with this little boy and he came inside and he said, "Mom, I found a best friend, but he doesn't talk right." And I said, "What do you mean he doesn't talk right?" And it was just because he spoke another language. And so, but my son was like 4.5, 5 at the time. I think he just turned 5. So he was playing with this little boy. His name was Ettore, and they loved each other, played with each other every day. And then finally I met their parents. And you met my friend when she was here. That's Ettore's mom. And so I became friends with, his mom and dad, and then subsequently became friends with this whole group of people. Now I know that they worked at Fermilab. And I guess I never just asked them what they did. So we hung out a lot. We had these dinners together. I was a big science nerd, so I was super excited that they worked at the lab and I wanted to know more, but I was like too shy. I was fangirling it, just way too shy to even ask like what they did. And finally, one day we're sitting in my messy apartment because I had 4 kids that were really little at the time. House was always kind of questionably clean and there was laundry everywhere. And so we're all sitting around and I finally asked, I was like, "So what exactly do you do there?" And she's like, "Oh, well, I'm, working on this experiment," which I knew about because like I said, I was a science nerd. I didn't know everything, but literally my eyes just like got like a deer in headlights. I fangirled so hard and I started looking around my house. I'm like, "Oh my God, I would have cleaned if I would have known like these people are here." And it turns out that this same team of people were also part of the same team that when they were PhD students, physics students, they were, the top quark was discovered, which in subatomic particles, you have your protons, your neutrons, your electrons, all that. And then there's these subatomic particles called quarks. And so there was another quark that was discovered at that time. And that's when they were doing.
Are those turbocharged? I'm wondering.
I don't know. Okay. I don't know enough about it. So anyway, so I just was thinking, oh my gosh, these people are like, the closest thing to Nobel quality people that you have. And they're in my home. And so
I'd be going crazy. I'd be like, there's no, how can I even talk to these people?
I was like, oh my gosh. And, at that point we had been friends for months. We had been having dinner parties and just like everybody hanging out. There's a group of 25 of them. Like we introduced them to Jell-O shots and it was just really funny. So it's like, they really got the American experience with me before I found out who they were. And then I got a little bit more.
It was probably better that way though.
Yeah, it was. It was because we got to know each other and it goes to show you that, everybody's human. Right. And so we We just are here to be there with each other. So I just tell that little anecdote because everybody's kind of wondering, like, okay, how does she know all this stuff? And that's why. So I asked them a lot of questions about the experiment. And of course, they would always answer what they could, right? Because it's still a government run particle physics laboratory. So it's not like they can just go tell everybody about their work. So I always just was very careful, in asking them every time I asked them a question, like, if you can, like, how does this work or whatever. So I got to go on a tour of Fermilab, which was super exciting. So Rich, I kid you not, I got to go on this tour where all of this magic took place. So I got to see the super collider with my own two eyes, which is the point where the, like the beams would meet. And I don't want to misremember anything because
how big?
It was huge. So I don't know, like,
because looking at the pictures I see of the colliders or whatever, the ones they show on the internet, it just looks massive. It looks like something.
It is I'm telling you,
movie,
Yeah, I have to think like the warehouse that, like, I call it a warehouse. So the room that I was in, it was so massive.
Yeah.
Like it looked to me. And now remember, I have to tell you, this was 24 years ago. So I am going off a 24-year-old memory. So if there's anything that I'm misremembering, please let everybody know. Like, I'm not trying to falsely report anything. So this
is it the Mandela effect?
Yeah. Yes. Right.
Yeah, right.
Right. This is just all to my memory. But in my recollection, I remember it seeming to me like a ginormous CAT scan. So if you think of a CAT scan that is like,
I could see that. Yeah.
Like it reminds you of like maybe an apartment building that was, I don't even know how to, I'm not good at measuring feet, I guess. I don't know, but it was massive. Okay.
Yep.
So I was just in total awe, and I got to see all this stuff, and I got to walk around the village, and Fermi Village is really cool. There's people that actually live in the area, and like on this plot of land where this experiment's going, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
So long story short, that is how I came in contact with knowing more about this stuff. So once they started collecting data at Fermilab, they were very excited. There was a lot of exciting things going on. And, of course, there was the theory of the God particle that was out there that they were able to really confirm some years back. So eventually, when Switzerland, when CERN started getting up and running, then the focus moved to this larger collider, because obviously that makes sense, right? More can be done there. So the CERN is just a larger version of that. So we're going to get some more information from the physicist that's going to come in and talk to us. We'll ask them about both locations so they can give more information and probably maybe even correct some things that I might have said already. So anyway, so what people are saying about this is the fact that there's some people that believe back in 2012, when CERN was, doing these experiments, that the world actually ended, because you know how the Mayan calendar ended? It was like 2012, right? So it was like December of 2012 was like the last of the Mayan calendar. So they said the world was going to end. Of course it didn't. We woke up the next morning, everything was fine and good. But what people believe is that actually CERN ended the world with their experiment and shifted us to a different timeline so that the world didn't end as the Mayan calendar predicted. So at that point, people believed that things shifted, and that from that time on, they noticed different things that would change. So, but if you go backwards a little bit, you brought up the Mandela effect.
Yep.
And some people are blaming CERN on the Mandela effect. And did you read about the Mandela effect? Do you want to tell everybody?
I did not read on it. I just know what it is from reading, different accounts from it. So, I mean, and I guess I could.
Yeah. What do you know about?
I mean, I could see that. It's like your memory is almost plays tricks on you. You think you're remembering something, but maybe you're not remembering all of the exact things that, like, you think you are, and your brain fills in those pieces.
Right.
Correct. Am I correct?
Well, yeah. So that's
that's
what scientists believe the Mandela effect is. So you explain that perfectly.
Yeah. So, like, let's, like you were talking before with, like I brought up about when you were talking about that, about the accelerator stuff, or you said, oh, it's 24 years ago. Well, maybe now your brain is filling in some of those spots, and and that's kind of what it is. And I can think back and probably come up with things that I've had the same thing happen, where I could swear that it was one way and now it's a different way, but and I don't attribute to anything more than my mind just isn't what it used to be, Yeah, I don't attribute to CERN or something in the timeline or something
sinister.
I don't attribute to any of that. But on the flip side, I can see where people would go down that path and could make an argument for that being, CERN or something like that being behind why it is that way, and basically the Mandela one, like you said, is everybody thinks he died. He supposedly died in prison.
Right.
And then in 2013 is when he really died. So people are thinking back, well, no, I know for a fact that this happened back in, I forget what the year was when I looked. Was it in the 80s, I believe? Am I right?
Yeah. So they thought he died in the 80s because it was actually this lady named Fiona Broome. Do you remember reading that name? So Fiona Broome had made some kind of so she's a self-proclaimed, and I don't say that with disrespect. She's considers herself a paranormal consultant, kind of expert. And in 2009, she had found out that Nelson Mandela was still alive. And she could have swore that he died while he was in captivity in the 80s. You're right. I think it happened in the 80s.
I think it was, yeah.
But when he was in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Now, originally when this came out, I was like, I feel like I thought he was dead too. Like whenever he died, I was like, oh, I thought that dude already died. So, so anyway, so I did have that brief thought myself. But again, there's, like you said, scientists even say our brain doesn't remember everything. So what she did was she had voiced her concern, I really think this guy died back then. And so then she found out that a lot of people felt the same way. She found a lot of people that remembered the same thing. So she launched this website and everything, where of her memory of him dying. And people were writing into her, responding to her, going to her webpage and reading all this stuff. So then she, I believe, wrote a book in regards to the Mandela effect. And so then that's why it was called the Mandela effect. So since that time, people have reported lots of different things with regards to the Mandela effect in association with, they believe, CERN causing it, because they believe that CERN somehow had the power to shift these timelines with the amount of energy that they were using to recreate the Big Bang.
Yep.
Now, mind you, it is a huge amount of power, obviously, that they use to generate this. And the one that they just did on July 5th was the largest still yet, which is why CERN is kind of back in the news with the conspiracies. And people say, oh, well, it can cause black holes, it can explode the earth, it can do all those things. And so we're not going to answer that today, just because we're going to let the scientists, tell us the answers to that. But one thing that I can say is that, if you read some of this stuff, it's if you think about the fact that it can cause a small black hole, we're not talking about a black hole that can really do anything. We're talking about have you ever tried to make a tornado inside of a bottle of water, the 2 liters? In my brain, that's what I think, right? Mm-hmm. On that level. So looking at the Mandela effect, like you had mentioned, scientists basically believe it's gist memory. People have the gist of something that happened, but they just don't have the full memory. So whenever we find out that it's not what we fully remembered, then we're really surprised and shocked. And we're like, what? So obviously we don't have irrefutable evidence that the Mandela effect is real or not. But there is a lot of TikToks out there of people talking about the Mandela effects. Did you have a chance to look at some of those?
Looked at some of them, and
were you surprised by any of them?
Yes, because I kind of thought the same thing.
Like you thought, no, I remember that.
I remember the same way everybody else
into Mandela effect really quickly, because I'm going to put a link to this article that I sent over to Rich when we started doing research on this. And there was like a list of like 30 things or something on there of different things that people say is the Mandela, like has the same thing with the Mandela effect, where people swear by and remember that it was one thing, but other people are saying it never existed. And so that's why they think the timelines have shifted. So
yeah, pretty much everyone listed. If there's one out there, I apparently the majority of people think it's the one way, because right. I mean, some of the ones that you brought up on there, the Kit Kat with the hyphen, yeah. I didn't know it was any other way.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So I'll bring up some of those. So
it's crazy.
Now the ones for me that I remember differently, meaning like this could fall into the Mandela effect. Like, okay, I and a lot of people remember it being a specific way.
Yeah.
So the Monopoly man, wearing a monocle or not wearing a monocle. What do you remember?
I remember it had one. I remember he had one.
See, I swear the same thing.
I swear to God, he had one, because that was one of the defining aspects of him when you described him.
That's what I thought. But now listen, hear me out.
I mean,
hear me out. One of the people that like were looking into why the Mandela effect happens.
Mm-hmm.
There was this one article that said, if you remember the Planters peanut guy,
yep,
had a top hat and a monocle.
Yep.
And he was popular at the same time. You know, Monopoly is always
so are you saying that your brain automatically thinks of the top hat, the cane, the glasses, yes, or
that
the mustache?
We're mixing up the peanut having the monocle.
So that anybody that... So what this reminds me of, and this isn't off topic, but it's off topic, is kind of how your mind does facial recognition. From what I remember hearing or reading is, your mind or your brain only sees certain parts of a person's face.
Yes,
and then
I've heard the same.
It fills in the rest of it. So
right.
That's why sometimes you think you see someone that looks like somebody, because right. they might have some defining facial features that somebody else has. And that's kind of almost the same type of thing. I feel that, like you said, you're thinking Mr. Peanut, and then you're thinking the Monopoly guy.
Right.
So right away, you start thinking of what the features are. And now you put the glasses, you put the monocle on the Monopoly guy.
Yeah. So that's what they think. Okay. The next one I had a problem with. Do you know anything about Pokemon?
Very little.
Okay. So one of the ones on the list was Pikachu.
I know Pikachu.
I thought Pikachu's tail was yellow and black. Like it had black on it.
I thought it was yellow and had like a black design on it or something.
No, apparently it's all yellow.
No, I don't buy that. I'm looking.
I'm saying that's what they said.
Now. Pikachu.
So, hang on. Actually, we can let's pull this up here.
You gotta bring it up on yours. Okay.
Yeah, I'll share my screen and let's just Google this real quick. Okay, so for those of you watching, we're gonna do this here. Pikachu, and look, it's yellow. It is yellow.
Well, where the hell's the black then?
I don't know.
It's on his back.
I always remembered him as having black.
Whoa. What's that? What's the one down there? The card. Isn't his tail black there?
Right here?
No, the lower right hand. You see that one there? Isn't that his tail right there?
That's right at the end. It looks like brownish, but I thought that there was more black on it other places, but no.
Oh, that one had black on the tip.
Where?
One of them I just saw you had up. I don't remember. I don't know where it went. I just saw a picture of one and it had the tip of his tail was black.
There's this one that had the tip of his tail black. All I know is I could have swore that Pikachu had a yellow tail with a black lightning bolt looking.
I thought so too.
Through it.
Yep,
okay.
Me too. Yep.
All right. So the next one that got me going was I'll be dating myself here. Was from the Lucy, like I Love Lucy show type thing, was where Ricky Ricardo would say, I always remembered him saying is Lucy, you got some splaining to do.
Yep.
Okay. He never said that.
What did he say?
He said
never
something
said it at
like,
all?
something like, Lucy, you need to explain basically, but he said it like Lucy explain or something. Or he never said you've got some splaining to do. He never said that. He did say the term splain and he would go, oh, Lucy, but he never said that whole phrase. And I feel like I don't know. I just remember everybody saying that. So it's weird. Okay. And then he brought up Kit Kat. Yep. I thought Kit Kat was hyphenated.
So did I.
Apparently it's not. It's not, never was, never has been. Now, when I say chartreuse for color, what do you think?
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, so I've heard the word chartreuse. I always thought chartreuse was like a pink or a purple color.
Okay.
Well, I'm not alone. A lot of people thought it was a pink or purple color.
Okay.
But yet it's not. It's not. I guess it's
what is it?
It's a yellow green. And here's the weird thing. So it's a French word, right? I studied French. Nowhere in the word chartreuse is it green and yellow mixed together, because green is vert and yellow is definitely not, it's jaune. And so it's definitely not like that. It has nothing to do with chartreuse. So it's like, okay, I don't see the correlation here. But I did find, pardon me, that there is a liqueur or a liquor in like a French liquor. It's called chartreuse, and it's a greenish yellow color. So like the name of it was that. So then there's the movie Risky Business. Now, I don't remember ever seeing it because I was really little when it came out. But when you think of Risky Business, that scene of Tom Cruise sliding out on his socks, he's got his white shirt on. What else is he wearing? Does he have pants?
I don't think he has pants on.
Does he have sunglasses on?
I thought he did.
Guess what? He didn't. Never.
But you know what? I think I know where that one could be misleading.
I could have swore that it was sunglasses. Everybody I've ever seen depict him.
Me too. But you know what? If you look at the movie poster, I think he has the sunglasses on. And I wonder if it's like the other one before. Your mind thinks one thing, so you automatically picture him with the sunglasses all, just like the Mr. Peanut guy.
Maybe.
I think if you look up the actual if you look up the movie Risky Business, and it shows would be the main poster, like the cover, like of the DVD or whatever. I think I remember, which I'm probably wrong for the same theory here.
Okay. For those of you watching on YouTube,
I think he's got the glasses on. And I bet you your mind just automatically puts the glasses on him.
I can't spell today. Risky Business.
See if I'm right on that.
Dance scene. Let's see here. Oh no, he does not have sunglasses on. Here's the YouTube. But Risky Business movie poster. Let's do that. Oh, so you might be right. He does have the sunglasses on in the movie poster. Maybe that's why people think that's pretty good. See, you could be a scientist.
Well, I don't know about that, but
all right.
I'm just playing into that theory.
No, you're right.
Brought up earlier.
That's a good way to look at it. I never even thought about that. So then here's one that really blew my mind.
What's that?
Are you a Star Wars fan?
Not a big fan, but I know Star Wars. Yes,
I love Star Wars. First of all, but did you watch the movies when you were a kid?
The first three, yes. The ones after that, not so much.
You know who C-3PO is? Then obviously.
Absolutely, everybody knows who he is.
What color is C-3PO?
He's gold or bronze or whatever, yellow, whatever color you want to.
You ever remember him having other colors on him ever?
I do, but I thought it was because something happened to him and he was replaced with another part, and it ended up being a different color. I don't remember. Something in my head tells me that there was one point he had an arm or a leg ripped off and someone replaced it with something, and it was a different color.
Yeah, apparently his right leg was silver below the knee, but from what they're saying is like it was like that from the get-go. I
don't think so.
As being gold colored.
Correct. I believe from what I remember is that he was all gold. Yeah. But I think there was a part vaguely why I remember this. I don't know, because like I said, I don't live for Star Wars. I don't eat, sleep, and breathe Star Wars, but somewhere in my mind, I believe that there was a part in one of the movies that he lost an arm or a leg and it was replaced. And he even points out that it's not the same. It wasn't the same color
I
almost.
feel like it was an arm for some reason.
And it could have been an arm, but
it's been a long time since I've seen the movies. Like probably at least like 20 years, maybe since I watched the movies with my kids. Okay.
That's the only thing I remember of maybe a different color on them. But from the very beginning, I don't believe so. But I could have swore.
Well, yeah, because even the action figures are always gold. Like you know, I don't see it like color. Anyway,
bring up C-3PO and bring it up on your screen. Put like Star Wars C-3PO. Let's just see what he looks like.
Okay, let's do this.
I'm just curious. Obviously, he's going to be just like they say because apparently we're wrong. But
all right.
See, he's gold there in that first one.
Okay, but look, here he's got a silver leg.
Not in that one where he's in front of BB-8.
Yeah.
Where?
Gold. Right here now it looks silver, but here it looks gold.
It's gold. Yeah.
Here it's silver.
No, see, that's not right. Something's not right
bullshit
there.
Right there.
Yeah, I call bullshit on that one.
Because look, he's in the movie right here and it's gold.
Exactly. That's what I mean. There's something. No,
let's do this.
That's bullshit.
When did C-3PO get a silver leg? It's right there. Conversation has stood the test of time, but Daniels has finally put the debate to rest. He recently revealed the truth in an exclusive interview on Wired. It doesn't tell me why though. But apparently in the original trilogy, he had a silver leg. I don't know. I don't want to take up a bunch of time looking in this. Maybe we should do that another time, but I'll tell you what. If anybody has the answers out there, let me know. Okay.
I still call bullshit on that. I still call bullshit on that one.
Right.
I don't believe that.
The next one is the Fruit of the Loom logo. Mm-hmm. Do you remember it with a cornucopia or without a cornucopia?
I remember it with.
I remember it with. Guess what? Never freaking existed.
No, that's a lie.
I'm telling you, there was never a cornucopia holding the fruit, according to Fruit of the Loom. So again,
I'm looking.
I don't believe it. I just don't.
Man, you're making me open up all these windows on my.
Okay.
Fruit of the Loom.
I'll pull it up. Let me see here. Okay, Fruit of the Loom logo. Now,
there's one right there. Boom.
I know, but that's proof. That's the Mandela effect. It's talking about the Mandela effect. So somebody might have.
That's the way it is.
Look, so this is where somebody might have put it there, but that's exactly how I remember the cornucopia looking. To be honest with you, that's exactly how it looks. So how is somebody gonna Photoshop that and it be exactly how I remember it?
I don't know, because I'm looking at the other ones and I can see the other ones as being the way they are too. So yeah, it's very.
I don't know. That's just mind-boggling to me.
It is.
I
remember it with that. But now, okay, let's play this game again, like with the Risky Business and the Peanut Guy. Was there another thing that had one and we're combining the two together?
Maybe another product that had a cornucopia.
And we're just automatically putting it there.
Yeah. We'll have to, you know what? We should do a whole episode on just Mandela effects.
Hell, we could do a whole episode on logos.
All right. Okay, I got one more and then we're going to get back to CERN. One more was Berenstain Bears. Do you remember how it was spelled? Do you remember it as STEIN on the end or STAIN?
I thought it was STEIN.
Nope. Guess what? It was stained. STAIN, always and forever, is spelled that way. I do not remember it that way ever, but apparently
I don't remember it that way.
And here's the thing
at all.
Is a bunch of people remember it being the way that you and I remember it, but apparently it was never true. Okay. Back to CERN. So everybody thinks CERN caused this rip in the timeline to create this happening. So there are so many conspiracy theories out there about CERN. Like we can't even touch all of them today. Right. Okay. But we'll talk about a couple of them that we found.
Yep.
So there was this one woman that was on TikTok and she was like talking about, she made this video and she's like, I studied physics, like I studied science, whatever. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but something happened the other day that concerns me. And she had filmed it on July 5th, which when she looked back said, oh, this was the glitch day. And they call it the glitch day because that's the
a lot of people called it that. Yeah.
That's because that's the day CERN just redid their. So CERN's LHC, the Large Hadron Collider, has been closed down for 3 years for like repairs, upgrades, and that kind of thing. It was actually turned back on in April because it takes like 3 months, to my understanding, for the machine to get up to the level to produce that kind of energy. So it's got to build and build and build and build.
Yep.
It was ready to go in July. So the reason it's called the glitch day is because that's the day that they ran the experiment at the highest ever amount that they had ever run it. And so people were afraid that all of this stuff was going to happen. So on that day, she had to take her animal to the vet, and she was like giving an update on TikTok about her pet. So she was like making it a sequence of different things. So she was like, she would do the updates in the same video. So some people record TikTok, so they'll record a portion, put it in their drafts, go back to it, record more onto it, put it in their drafts, so that they're doing these kind of live updates type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not really live, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so apparently she had recorded this video, and when she went back to watch it, like she was looking in the camera, apparently thinking she was talking. When she rewatched it, she's just looking at it, look like she's actually talking, but she's not saying anything. But she remembers whenever she recorded the video that she was clearly talking.
She said her lips weren't moving or anything, right?
Right. Her lips weren't moving, but her head was just moving as if, and she's looking around as if she was talking. Yep. So I'm going to post the link to the TikTok so people can watch that for themselves. But for our YouTube viewers, I'm going to go ahead and play this, but I'm actually going to cut this part out for the audio version of this podcast. But if you want to go over to YouTube and see and watch these videos, you can. So I'll go ahead and play this for you. Okay.
Okay. So I'm freaking out a little bit. You know how it's going.
Can you hear that
now? That like,
yes,
turning on CERN, like we're going to notice a bunch of stuff and blah, 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 blah. Right. So I studied physics in undergrad. I hold a dual degree in physics and philosophy. And I don't necessarily disagree that building particle colliders and doing experiments with them can lead to like unintended consequences. I also believe in the multiverse. And
so basically I'm just playing you the first part of that video that I was talking about, because I want to go to her other videos where she said she had glitched out during the video. So we're going to do that just so I can show you that part where she had glitched out.
Oh,
yeah. So she is her kitty. It has like, it was at the vet, so I had to have some kind of procedure done.
Yeah. I have animals
like that. Anyway, so you go through, and so she's like going on to do this update.
Heart disease.
So here she's given the update.
Overactive thyroid.
And then
now, and
all of a sudden,
poor kids.
So she's talking, and then this is later where she says she's talking, and she remembers talking in these videos and showing her cat then and stuff, but she remembered saying something and she didn't. And so she was really kind of like freaked out by that. So she said that what she believes happened is that the LHC, which we'll say for the Large Hadron Collider, was running, and that we melded with a blooming matrix or simulation. Okay. So this is one of the questions we will ask Dr. Otzi when they come on the show. Now, it's a very popular theory, actually, that we're living in a matrix, because this is another thing that this particular TikToker believes, is that we live in a matrix. What do you think? Like, do you think that a matrix is possible, or do you want to save that conversation for our scientists?
I thought about it before when I watched the videos. I don't know. I mean, I'm more on the realms of maybe multiverse. Yeah, as far-fetched as it is, I guess I'd be more on the lines of that. I don't know so much about the other theory she said about like simulation. I don't know about that, but I mean, it's definitely interesting theory there as well. But maybe the multiverse thing, like you said, where there's different timelines or different things happening, just like right now, me and you are doing something different, or we're doing the same thing
else,
or whatever, somewhere else type thing.
I wonder if we're really popular in that other That other universe.
Got to be. I mean, who wouldn't love us? I mean, come on.
We just bring all this hard-hitting news. Okay, so the next one was from July 10th, and this guy said that he was paying attention when he was driving home on July 6th. So, like, to backtrack, he said, you know, when he thought about this CERN thing, like, he knows about CERN, and he thought it was just basically bogus. People were just getting worked up about nothing, right? Like, he was like, whatever, people, like, it's cool, but whatever. So, but what he did say is on July 6th, he noticed that he looked at the sky and he thought, wow, like, this sky is so beautiful. And he was like, for some reason, he thought, oh, the sky looks like it used to, which is kind of interesting. Because he said for years he thought that the sky didn't look the same, and he just felt like the sky had changed over time somehow. He didn't say that it was because of CERN or anything like that. He just thought that the sky had changed over time. And so he said, like, he said, oh, the clouds were just so big and puffy. They looked so beautiful. It reminded him of how they used to look. They were more spread out. And so then he happened to go, when he was online, he was looking at stuff and actually found more comments of people saying something very similar about the sky, that they thought the sky looked different. And he thought, oh my gosh, maybe people have something, you know, going with CERN. So again, I'll have a link to all of these in the rest of them. But did you get a chance to watch that video?
Yeah, I did. I watched anyone I could watch. I watched, and my thoughts on that one are, I think it's more natural type phenomena. I mean, maybe things that are going on in the atmosphere, or you know how we always talk about global warming or different things like that. Maybe things are just looking a little different. I mean, I guess I can't speak for paying that much attention to it. I pay attention when it's a nice sunny day or the clouds are rolling in for a storm. I couldn't tell you honestly what the sky looked like last week. So I mean, for me to say that all of a sudden today it looks totally different, I don't know that I could do that. So I honestly, I love looking at clouds, and even like when Kez and I we've traveled so much, and I do remember thinking like different places that I've been, like, wow, the clouds look really phenomenal here, the sky looks phenomenal here. But you know, if there is a change to the sky, maybe it's just because we've been in a pandemic for a couple of years. We haven't traveled as much. Maybe there was help with less carbon emissions over the last. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. That's what
traveling. There's more people working from home now than there ever has been. So we have less cars on the road. So maybe, just maybe, you know, it's slowly improving the atmosphere, like you said. Who knows? All right,
that's what I think. I mean, I did point out, I think it was when we were at the race up in Road America, I remember pointing out the clouds only because they looked really full and fluffy. It was really weird that it almost looked like a storm was getting under rolling. And I remember pointing out how they looked, and I hadn't seen that. You know, I haven't seen that in a while, but I didn't think anything more of it than just that that the clouds looked a little different. So, I mean, I
I've had that thought myself too.
Ironically, that race was on July 3rd.
Ooh. Okay. So that was 2 days before CERN. So it's not CERN. Didn't do it. Okay. So I mean, like I said, there's a couple more theories. Like some people believe, like there was somebody that had posted something about that there was a speaker that was saying basically like there's going to be a timeline shift. And I don't know if that's possible. We're going to ask our scientists.
Right. I don't know either. Yeah.
But they were talking about this timeline shift, and that it's not something that we're just going to wake up in a different reality one day, that it's going to be gradual and subtle. And you aren't going to wake up, bam, everything's different. Some will be more aware of the changes as they go on. And some of them, you know, some people won't be. And that's why some people are trying to say that's what the Mandela effect is, because people are starting to notice that things are changing. But another spoke to CERN opening up extra dimensions. Like they think that CERN somehow opened up an extra dimension. Now, remember, we talked about the possibility of small black holes, which, I mean, CERN does address on their website, but they're not opening up, you know, new dimensions, right? I mean, but people think that. But again, what if? Like, I'm going to give people credit, like, to even thinking about this, to even considering it. So they just think that, they've found, they're going to find these certain particles that wouldn't have otherwise been able to be discovered without it, and that they're going to open up another dimension for doing this. So, and there's other people that suggest that the depth and size of the LHC is dangerous because of the fact of how big it is and the fact that it's so far underground. Like, if you build it that far underground, that it's got to be dangerous. That's basically the thought process of it. I mean, there's like the same user that was talking about how dangerous it was based on how far it was built under the ground was also saying that CERN was like demonic and satanic in nature, saying basically like the logo for CERN has 666 in it, which we know is the sign of the beast or the sign of the devil. And he was talking about, other things that he's like pictures of things at CERN, which we're going to ask our physicist about when we have them on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the list goes on. I mean, literally the list goes on and on and on and on about these conspiracy theories and what can happen in these time fractures and bringing us into a new reality and a new dimension. And I don't know, I guess, like, what are your thoughts when you hear that there's somebody playing with this much energy and smashing these particles? I mean, like you said, you didn't know prior to.
No, I think it's cool. I think it's great that they're doing and experimenting and coming up with what happens when you do this and that. But I don't think they're opening up portals. I don't think I mean, is it possible for them to actually shift the timeline or create a rift or I mean, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I think it's just people going down the rabbit hole of, like you said, what ifs, and it's things that people aren't familiar with. And if maybe you're already down that line of thinking for something else, so right away when something like this pops up, right away you jump on and they're the cause of everything. I don't know. I don't buy into that, and I'm hoping that when we talk to our experts, they shed a little more light on that. But
right.
I mean, all of these things, I mean, even when you go back to the woman with the glitch in their videos, I mean, could have just been a glitch in the videos. I mean, you're dealing with a lot of electronic device. I mean, I mean, and that's where my mind goes right away. I want to debunk it, and that's just me. Right. I want to figure out what else it could be before jumping just to it's straight this, There's got to be another explanation. And if there's not, then, I'm open to that. That there's not, but
right. I mean, I definitely want to know, like, does the amount of energy that's created in something like this, if there are people that are sensitive to that kind of thing, like, could they feel some type of effects? Like, I betcha. I mean, that's a possibility. I don't want to.
I bet. Yeah.
That
people are sensitive all sorts of things. You got to imagine that
amount of energy creates something, even though it's underground and it's contained in a tunnel. Can it still be emitting certain vibrations into the ground that can be felt by animals or, or other people or disrupt things? Like, of course, that's something I would want to know, because I feel like that would be plausible, right?
But is it demonic, and is it trying to open up a black hole to swallow everybody? No, come on.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, another one of the conspiracy theorists actually believe that the CERN scientists, that most of the scientists don't even realize that they've been duped by this higher level of government or something in trying to, like, kind of this world order, that are trying to keep us from achieving fifth dimensional existence. So, like, basically trying to keep us experiencing life in the third dimension, like cogs in a wheel, right? Like, we eat, breathe, work, consume, give, die, like, that's sleep. And then we die. Like, we just go through this cycle, and we're not meant to know anything else outside of that. And so people consider fear. Right. So people consider, like, fourth and fifth dimensional thinking, which I'm not going to argue this, because I do believe that there's levels that we can achieve in our own personal consciousness of how we understand the world around us and how we love and how we live and how we, all of those things. I'm very much into that. So I don't want to discount that, but to believe that there is a giant government or global world order that's trying to prevent us to moving into this fifth dimension or into just any higher vibrational level of being or existence or understanding, to the point where they've employed physicists to create this machine on the premise that they're trying to get answers from the universe, when really they're just using the machine to oppress us. Like, that to me is a little hard to swallow.
I think it's the fear of the unknown. And I think that the problem we're having is now there's TV shows about it. Everybody's making movies about it. There's the TikTok videos. There's the YouTube videos. There's so much out there that everybody feeds into it. Yeah. And if there's a movie about some underground society that's trying to do this, right away, everybody wants to go with, well, then it's possible.
Right.
It doesn't mean.
Do I believe in underground societies? 100%.
Could it? Sure. But it doesn't mean everything is. And that's right. I think where people lose that sense of reality, just because you got this group here that's doing scientific experiments and doing this, doesn't mean it's going to lead to something else. Doesn't mean that there's a underlying agenda. Doesn't mean,
right.
But unfortunately, everybody sees it in the media. Everybody sees it on the TVs and in Hollywood. So it puts that in your head that it's possible.
That's what's happening. And,
and I don't know.
I love a good movie. I mean, I love the Da Vinci Code. I love shit like that. Like I love entertaining my brain with things that are likely not true, because just thinking about it is exciting, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's invigorating.
So it makes that's what makes us human beings.
So I definitely don't want anybody that believes any of the things that we talked about to feel bad about their beliefs or thoughts.
This is our opinion.
At the same time, like, unfortunately, there's groups of people out there that the thought of that can upset them so much that it creates, a lot of stress and anxiety for people that, that's maybe unnecessary. So I'm really excited to talk to our expert, to have them on the show so we can ask them about all of these theories and ask them to answer to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be great. So with that, that's basically what CERN is. And that's kind of the things we're going to be talking about with one of the physicists from CERN. And we're excited to bring that to you. So if you have any questions about this episode, if you have any questions you want to ask our expert when they come on the show, please let us know. Send us the questions, comments, concerns to connectedrealm@gmail.com. That's connectedrealm@gmail.com. We are on Google Podcasts, Amazon. What else are we on? We're on Amazon Music, Stitcher, Spotify,
Odyssey,
and YouTube.
We're trying to get on there yet, right?
We're trying to get on the Odyssey app. Aside from that, please visit us on our Facebook page. We'll be posting all of our episodes on there with all the links to all the things that we brought to you today. And we'd love for you to like, follow, share, subscribe, all the things. If you have a story that you want to share with us, we might like to have you on the show. So make sure you get a hold of us, right, Rich?
Yeah. Don't be afraid to reach out. We couldn't do this without everybody that's listening, and we appreciate everybody that does listen.
We love the support, comments, and everything. So, we're excited to bring this to you. We have so many podcasts in queue to be recorded. It's just going to be fantastic. So I hope you continue to follow along with our journey. So with that, take care, everybody. Until next time.
Peace out. Ciao.
Ciao.
Yeah.